Hello everyone, my name is Mark Braswell. Welcome back to my channel. If you like the content that you see here, just like and subscribe and see more. I'm an artist living in Denver, Colorado. I've been making art for over 50 years, really. I've been in Colorado for about 40 almost. So I guess you could consider me a Coloradan artist. Working on a series that I use bits and parts of the figure incorporated into the painting. I haven't done that, well I actually have, and then I covered it up because I hated it. So I'm going to add some other elements maybe on top here. I also foster kitty cats. This is Gabby. She's very independent, but she likes to come down and watch me paint. So I'm going to be working on this today. Originally it was more of a, I'm going to push this down just a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Originally it was like, how was it like? It was like this. And it was kind of a figure, you could see the butt, but it was kind of, you know, like a contrapposto pose. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it to the side. So I think I'm going to do a reclining image that kind of goes this way. But I've been working on it the other way. So I like the idea of this, so I may just put the figure in this way also. So today I'm going to be working with about 4 colors. Here's 3 of them. They're all very light. There's a purple, there's a gray, there's a kind of a blue-gray here. So I like all of those colors. But I also want to work with the existing red. Maybe continue it down here, and maybe add some fuchsia somewhere. I'm going to use this. So this is a mixture. I have this long-standing argument with someone I know. About what's the best red, the truest red. You know, if anybody that has really painted before knows that cadmium, to me, well, to most people, is not really a true red. It is, cadmium red is more like an orangey red. So I want something that's not quite orange, even though I did add a little bit of yellow into this. But I'm using something called Pyrrole red, P-Y R-R-O-L-E red. You can get it in different, this is just the basics one, so this is cheap. But Liquitex make a great one. I believe Golden makes a good one. Golden's a great paint, but I'm not rich. So I'm going to add that into it too. The little trimmer here is my little cat making a terror here. You better get that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Thanks again for watching, and let's get to painting. Again, I always kind of moisten at least the areas I'm going to be working in. This is a very condensed version of how I normally do this. How I normally do it is I would let that sit for like 10 minutes, come back, mist it again, and then wipe off the excess. I'm just going to let this go for a few seconds, and then I'm just going to really not get rid of it, but kind of push it in. If you leave it heavy like that, you're going to get drips, which is fine. I like drips, but I want this to be a little bit more controlled. I don't talk about this too much, but this is the size of the brush I'm using. It's a little bit actually thinner than this. It's just really loaded up with paint right now. I want something that's kind of medium, maybe like, I don't know, what is that, 1/2 inch brush. This is also synthetic, but it's kind of a medium brush. It's kind of a little bit harder than a regular. It's not very soft, that kind of thing, because this canvas is really rough, and I'm not really interested in making a very smooth transition. I do that with other things, and that's fine. But I also don't spend a lot of money on brushes. I'm a horrible misuser of it, so I don't spend too much. So the first thing I want to do is I kind of want to come in here and figure out how I'm going to do this red. Well, let's go. There's some red on here already. This is very subtle what I'm doing here because this red is pretty good in here. You'll start to see it more when I come in here. I also, just so you know, don't normally paint this way. I'm trying to let you see what I'm doing. I normally very much so, and I make those noises. I think a lot of times I kind of often fight this battle of it being very flat to giving a lot of texture and dimension into it, which I like that, but I am also, it kind of comes down to the people I'm inspired to with. If you think abstract, you think Mark Rothko really kind of used flat colors, but he really didn't. If you look at his work really closely, you'll see like a very subtle brushwork. His reds are like 25 reds, which is kind of what I do. But then I'm also inspired by people like Barnett Newman, who did very flat colors. There's a bunch of people in that area that I really enjoy their work. So I think about those two a lot. I'm gonna leave some of this in here, but I think I'm gonna repeat the red in there. And you can see when I go over the black, it's a little bit darker of a red. I also do this a lot where I start to do something and then, like right now, for example, up in here, that's way too complicated. It's not reading well. But when I look at it in the frame, it looks really good. Here, this needs to be, right, this yellow in here needs to be resolved a little bit better. I do like this one on here. And then just like that, I make it really complicated. I don't want that. So I keep wetting it and then I keep adding more into here. You could possibly use medium, like thinner, like gel medium or something like that. I just use water most of the time. I don't know. A lot of this is me trying to figure out, so I really kind of like that in here. I think I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it and then I'll come back to it in a minute. I don't know if you can see that. It's in reference to a very famous painting called The Bride Stripped Bare by Her Bachelors by Duchamp, and he has these like 4 different squares. I use this all the time. It's not the first time I've ever done this. And he uses it in representation of the bachelors. And I really like that idea of suitors or people that find another person, but through groups, not through individual kind of thing, that kind of collective finding of something. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too brainy. Okay. So now we're going to get into some of the whites and those lighter colors I was talking about. Definitely here and here. I'm going to put them. Might even repeat them in there. What I got to my brush. If you were really efficient, you could probably have more than one brush ready, but you know, I'm not that organized. Okay. Let's go with this kind of gray color first. So this is the color we're going to go with first. Kind of a gray purple. Had this for a while, so it definitely needs more water. My husband, Aiden, he really is not a big fan of grays. He, anytime I put him in, he's like, why are you doing that gray? So gross, it's boring. My feeling about using gray often, especially when you're doing colorful paintings, is that it is a real great neutralizer. So if I want this color to really pop, if I put a more muted, darker, or even what I call sometimes ugly color next to it, then it really makes that other thing pop. The trick is you can't get too much in here. And yeah, for all the people that are new to, you know, painting in general, what I'm doing right here when I do this is I'm not putting any more paint on this. And you see how it's like all splayed out like that? That's called dry brushing, and I want it to be rough and kind of a little bit more textural than these kind of more solid lines that I'm putting in here. This is something else I always love to do. I have a gray in here, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but this is kind of a slightly different gray. Okay, I'm going to switch to a little bit different of a color. You'll see the difference. I'm going to go up there so you'll see it. This is turning out to be a longer video. You can always let me know if you like longer or shorter videos. Well, it's pretty subtle. It's a little bit lighter than the other one. So this is kind of I like the idea that this is a little bit shadowy and a little bit more suggestive. And I'm just using my finger here. I don't want to add more paint. So, but I can come through. See how I'm just taking off the paint right there, like that. It's still in there, and so I'm kind of drying off my brush so I can get the dry brush thing. So now here's the last one that I'm going to do in here. It's a very light kind of lavender white color. I do like this color a lot. I pulled a little bit of red in here. And I do like how it kind of changes it a little bit. I also do this cool thing. I've done this before with this color, and I'm kind of keeping that in mind when I am doing this. If you put like a blue or purple glaze over like most of this, this is going to turn this really interesting gray purple. And I might do that, I think, because it needs a little bit of dimension in there. I love yellow, but sometimes I get crazy with it. And I used to not like yellow, by the way. I almost exclusively didn't use it for many of my earlier years. So, I think I'm at a pretty good place. Let me know what you think. It's still a little bit too disjointed. To me, there's too many different areas that need to be a little bit more solidified. Maybe like in here, getting rid of some of this, maybe with the charcoal color rather than black, but a little bit flatter. Even that color of my glove would work a little bit better. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching me. Very mellow music on today. I won't say the name. You can DM me and I'll tell you what it is. So thanks again. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.